if Israel continues to play by the rule that you can't attack the Arab Muslim Nazi civilians, then Israel can't win a single battle and can't win any war and can't survive. Chas v'chalila, God forbid. You can't win if you're not going to attack the Arab Muslim Nazi civilians. Because if you're going to say, well, we can't attack the civilians, we got to go with a fine, we got to go with a microscope to look for the terrorists among the civilians. If you're going to do that, you can't win anything. You can't possibly win. Because the Arab terrorists will mingle among the civilians. The Arab Muslim Nazi civilians who support the terrorists, all the Arabs support the terrorists. They are going to hide the terrorists and harbor the terrorists and cooperate with the terrorists and safeguard the terrorists and shelter the terrorists. So you're not going to be able to win. And then you're going to say, well, there's nothing we can do. We can't attack the terrorists because there are civilians there. If you're going to say that, you can't win a single battle. And that's what happened in this war. Israel, which liberated the entire Sinai, the Golan Heights, Judea, Samaria, Gaza, and Jerusalem in 6 days, that same Israel couldn't conquer a small little Arab town that was 1 mile north of the Israeli border. Bint Jabal. This little Arab town, Bint Jabal, 1 mile north of the Israeli border. Israel couldn't conquer the town because they were afraid if they conquered it, they're going to hurt civilians. And so from that town, Hezbollah continued to fire missiles and murder Jews and keep 1/3 of Israel's civilian population in a state of constant terror. I mean, this is madness. Let me explain to you the Kahanist philosophy. The Kahanist philosophy is very simple. The life of one Jew is worth more than the lives of all the Muslim Nazis in the world put together. That's the Kahanist philosophy. One Jew counts more than all the Muslim Nazi civilians, terrorists, all of them. They're all terrorists. One Jew counts more than all of them. And by the way, when I say they're all terrorists, George Bush, in his famous speech, said, if you support the terrorists, you're a terrorist. That means all the Muslims are terrorists, because by being a Muslim, ipso facto, by being a Muslim, you are a terrorist. Because the Islamic religion, if you read the Quran, if you read the Hadith, the Islamic religion commands people to be terrorists. If you say, I'm part of a religion that espouses terrorism, that espouses genocide against all non-Muslims, then you're a terrorist. That's by George Bush's definition, not just Chaim ben Pesach's definition, but George Bush's definition. If you have mercy on the cruel, it says in the Talmud, in the end, you're going to be cruel to the merciful. Those who have pity on the cruel will in the end be pitiless toward the kind. That's what will happen. If you're kind to the cruel, in the end you're going to be cruel to the kind. And look at how this plays out with all the self-hating Jews that are running Israel. They have pity on the Arab Muslim Nazi mass murderers and no pity on their Jewish victims. The same Jews in Israel who don't want to expel a single Arab Muslim Nazi from southern Lebanon expelled their fellow Jews from Gush Katif and from northern Samaria without any problem. They are cruel toward the kind and they're kind toward the cruel. Chazal, Chachamenu Zichronam Livracha, which means the great rabbinic sages of the Talmud, and their memory should be immortalized. That's basically what it means. They taught us that if you're kind to the cruel, in the end you're going to be cruel to the kind. And let me tell you something. Hagra is the Vilna Gaon, said that any nation that makes war against the Jews is Amalek, is the same as Amalek. Now, we have a commandment in Judaism to destroy Amalek in every generation. It's one of the mitzvot. In every generation, we're required to destroy Amalek. And Hagra, the Vilna Gaon, defines Amalek as any nation that makes war against the Jews. That's Amalek. And not just the Vilna Gaon. Harav Yehuda, Harav Kook, who was really the leader, and Harav Soloveitchik, who are the leaders of what we call the Hamachaneh Hadati Haleumi, the religious nationalist camp in Israel. Those rabbinic leaders also said that any nation that makes war against the Jews is Amalek and is to be fought against like Amalek, which means you're supposed to wipe them out completely. Anyone that makes war against the Jews, the rules of the war are you wipe them out completely. Now, I was going to tell you that the great leader of our generation, Harav Meir Kahana, Zecher Tzadik Libracha, also said that. But you would have expected Harav Kahana to say that. So, I just want you to know, it's not just Harav Kahana, the so-called extremist who said that. And by the way, he was not an extremist. Every word he said was from the Torah. That's not extreme. That's sanity. And so, if it's Harav Tzvi Yehuda Kook, Zecher Tzadik Libracha, or if it's Harav Soloveitchik, Zecher Tzadik Libracha, or the Vilna Gaon, Zecher Tzadik Libracha, or Harav Meir Kahana, Zecher Tzadik Libracha, the great rabbis have taught us that any nation that makes war against the Jews is to be considered Bnei Amalek. They are Amalek. And it says in the Torah that we're supposed to wipe them out. Those are the rules of engagement against Amalek. That is Jewish thinking. Now, either we fight in a Jewish way, or we're going to lose. If we don't do what Hashem wants, we lose. That's just the way it works. Now, you may not like that. You may say, well, Arab women and children, and I don't like it, and it's not moral, and it's not right, and I don't like it. You could say whatever you want. Okay? Hashem makes the rules. Whether you like them or not, those are the rules. And if you don't follow them, you're going to face disaster. Either you follow what Hashem has commanded us to do, or you face disaster. Either you do what God commands the Jews to do, or it's going to be disaster. Every government in Israel has tried negotiations, weakness, territorial concessions, and nothing has worked. Why don't we try the Jewish way? Why don't we try the way that Yehoshua, Joshua used? Or the way that the Jews used in the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses? Or the method that David HaMelech used, David, king of Israel? Why don't we try the Jewish method of fighting? And the method that the rabbis in modern times, and I mentioned some of them in modern times, I mentioned 4 of them in modern times, 4 great rabbis, 4 great rabbinic sages, have told us that we have to fight in this manner against any nation that makes war against the Jews. Why don't we try the Jewish way? The left always says, give peace a chance. That's all we've done for 2,000 years, and we see the disastrous results. We gave peace a chance during the Holocaust. And since the State of Israel came into being in 1948, Israel has done nothing but surrender and try and negotiate and beg. And it has not brought Israel one moment of peace. You gave peace a chance 1,000,000 times and it didn't work. Let's give strength a chance. Let's give the rules of engagement of the Torah a chance. That will work. That really will work.